Islamophobia first. I don't like this word. I think that it's a stupid word. It's always been used to try to intimidate people. It will intimidate people no longer. But yes, it is used as a word to try to intimidate people, to sort of imply that there's some unbelievable bigotry that lies behind dislike of certain things that followers of Islam do. I don't think it is an irrational bigotry. I don't think it is at all. To the extent that such a thing as Islamophobia exists, it is created by the behavior of Muslims.
Entire family who cannot breathe. They were kidnapped, raped by the terror organization Hamas. Do you think killing is enough for them?
The Metropolitan Police have lost the plot. Again. As pro-Hamas protests continue to roil London, the capital's embattled, scandal-ridden police force are under pressure for failing to arrest extremists who chanted about jihad at a rally on Saturday. The protesters in question were from Hizb ut-Tahrir, a fundamentalist Islamist group that calls for an Islamic caliphate and the introduction of Sharia law across the world. It has been banned in some European countries and most Arab states. When Hamas launched its pogrom in southern Israel on the 7th of October, Hizb ut-Tahrir tweeted with apparent approval, "If this can be done by a resistance group, imagine what a unified response from the Muslim world could achieve."
But look at what's happening in Britain. Like, we know now what's being taught, what's being preached in mosques, what's being taught in those schools. And how do you imagine those people think differently if we just say, we don't touch how you educate your children, but we expect them to become quote-unquote good Western liberals? Like, you have to start at the beginning. You cannot just expect the outcome.
That's the multiculturalism element, isn't it? Their little silo of Islam there alongside whatever we've got going here, and never the twain shall meet.
Exactly.
So we end up with...
In the end, what multiculturalism truly means is, I don't care what the other side does. And that is such a, in a sense, it's this bigotry of low expectations, right? They say, oh, these people come to us, but they have certain ideas, certain values, but who am I to change it? Well, if you truly believe in your own values, you want to change them. And this is what, again, we don't understand. If you are a young 15-year-old Muslim in Paris, in London, in Brussels, in Vienna, what do you think is attractive to you? Which culture seems to have a backbone? Which culture seems to have confidence? And I have to say, it's not Western liberalism.
Take a look at what has happened here on the streets of New York.
Please stop ripping up posters down. These are innocent civilians in Israel.
You, Israel.
What? These are our members. We have family.
You. Talk that way, my sister. You. And Israel.
Don't down these posters.
In that propaganda.
Some doughy terrorist-supporting simp was wobbling around in New York and ripping down photos of hostages taken by Hamas, and he got the full New York treatment. This will warm your heart. Americans are finished. They're fed up. Watch.
All right, I'm a veteran. I'm telling you. All right, go do it.
I'm not fucking Jewish. He's not Jewish. I don't know if he is or not. Doesn't matter. This is in the U.S. That's New York City. You don't have a right to touch that shit. This is a free country. You can wave your Palestine flag and say death to the Jews or America, whenever you want. But we can put a sign, okay? Then don't rip that down. You are doing something. You're offending us. Yeah, you are. When you throw that on the floor, you're littering the city. In a minute, I'm going to litter the floor with you. You have a proof? So move the on. You have proof they're not kidnapped? No, so shut the up. I know that's what you want. I'm dying to put you in the hospital. Come on.
If you hate America, if you want to abolish Israel, if you sympathize with jihadists, then we don't want you in our country, and you're not going to be getting into our country.
The police and the security services in the UK, Europe, are dealing with a very large number of terrorist threats. And I think it's sort of reminiscent in a way of the Islamic State at its height, when it inspired terrorist attacks all around Europe and in many other parts of the world.
Just a couple of months back, they did a poll in Palestine, in the Palestinian areas, and they were asking people, if there would be a two-state solution, would you still support the continuous fight against Israel until basically all of Israel disappears? And over 50% say yes. So exactly what you say, you cannot separate it. And
I don't think so.
This is, again, I think, in the West, we very often like to project our idea on somebody else. I mean, this bothers me so much, again, about multiculturalism. It's an ideology that absolves you from knowing anything about the other side. We saw this. This is, if a person goes with a rainbow flag to a Hamas protest, what that shows you is, and either the person is insane, but I think what it really shows you, that person has no idea about the people that he or she thinks they are joining.
What would happen to a gay couple in Gaza?
Executed according to Islamic law. Islam doesn't endorse gayism. Islam doesn't endorse homosexuality.
Okay, so would you like to see Sharia law in Canada replace Canadian law?
At some point it will. You know, because we have families, we are making babies. You're not. Your population is going down the slump, right? By 2060, Muslims will be the biggest religious group the world over. What are you going to do then? We owe our allegiance and our loyalty first and foremost to our religion, not to the Queen, to be honest. When I went for my so-called oath, I was silent, I didn't say anything. It was your responsibility to make sure you got it out of me. So when I didn't say anything, I'm not liable to any.
Why should we live with these people? Why should they be here? My forebears didn't fight off generation after generation of enemies, only to have these enemies given the right to remain here. We'd have no need of them. Our country has not benefited from them. Get them out. Get them out. And if the government will not do it, at some point the people will do it. And I would submit that will be much uglier.
I mean, the solution is, and this is a brutal thing to say, but if you look historically, in order to defeat an ideology, you must humiliate it. I mean, fascism was not defeated because we had intellectual debates about the pros and cons of fascism, but they lost the war so devastatingly that people said, you know what, we can't do this ideology, which, by the way, never really happened to communism, which is why communism, at least in some pockets, is still popular. And I think the same thing is true with Islamism. We cannot do this to say, well, they're the really bad Islamists, the not so bad Islamists, and the kind of okay moderate Islamists. Like, we didn't do this with Nazism either, right? We didn't say, Hitler is really bad, but there's a bunch of Nazis who are really kind of acceptable. You need to humiliate the ideology so that people start to look for something else.